Blessings, as always. Yeah, evil lurks. Evil lurks here in these end times. There's so many people out here going throughout their everyday life acting like everything is all good, with the mindset of they gotta follow their dreams and their goals. Well, do these dreams and said goals align with your faith in the Most High? Does it have anything in regards to worshiping Him and giving Him the praise and the thanks that He deserves? Especially being that He didn't even have to make creation. He could have did something totally different. But yet that's not what He decided to do. So you got to think about that. In these end times, in these modernized days of Noah, same playbooks being ran, same characters in place, but the vessel might have been changed up, subtle changes here and there. But the veil of deception is more immaculate now. It's more refined. It has deceived the world into believing that to be sinister is to be good and vice versa. These are the times that we currently have found ourselves in. As in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. That's Christ. His real name is Yeshua. So we are in the end times. During his, Noah's day, he was trying to warn people. Warn them for 120 years. They want to laugh and they want to mock. Kind of like now when people are so quick to utter the term conspiracy theory through their gulletry. They're always ready to throw that term around without first investigating the origins of the said term and the context in which it was meant to be implemented in. See, don't nobody do that, because don't nobody ever want to check true history. Because when you check true history, it discards all that BS and all that nonsense and all that would-be level of clever trickery every time. That's what it does. That's why a majority of the masses, they don't want to go look into history, true history, because it may very well change their current dispositionary status one way or another. The age we're in, people are such lovers of self. Didn't the Bible forbid that action? It talks about how in the last days, men will be lovers of themselves, men and women. Got all these commercials about penal erection commercials for a bigger Johnson, so they can go, have a more thrilling experience in the sack, A more thrilling experience in the sacketry. That's the type of times we're in. Where do you think these actions came from? We weren't always a people who thought like this. How did we get to this point, to this current level of understanding? Yeah, let me take some instead of, let me go seek out these bad, harmful drugs so I can get a bigger Johnson. The whole ideological view of sex in today's world is just baffles me. I mean, we've all been there because we've all been in sin. But it's just the lewd nature thereof and the vulgarity in which it has currently found itself in is just unnatural in nature. Not supposed to be operating like that. Not supposed to be sitting out here laying around with anybody. Don't you understand the spiritual component behind it? And the spiritual component is the most important component behind it. Not trying to bust the ultimate one. That is just such belligerent nonsense. I'm not supposed to be thinking like this. So, we're in those last days. And then women getting boob jobs and BBLs and all, like, this is the thought processes that we have been reduced to in our current day and age. They done reduced everybody down to that of Neanderthal behavior. And the whole concept behind Neanderthal was a lie anyway, but I'm talking about the downgrading thereof, the demotion. They've just demoted everyone down to that of just a mindless, imbecilic guinea. And it just makes no sense to operate like that, mixing all these different spirits. There's a lot of individuals walking around here with multiple demonic spirits on them. With a nifty scientific term in which they were coined. In the days of Noah. All the stuff that's going on today that has just been, now it's viewed as okay. People living in sexual immorality, they want to call them the rainbow community, if you will. So they always want to take something of the Most High and corrupt it in the most vulgar manner in which they can concoct. It's totally crazy. So now when people think of rainbows, instead of thinking that the Most High God is with you, first thing our minds are going to go to is the Rainbow Coalition. How can it not at this point? The world has taken all the negativity and have just made it into things to do, to be on the in crowd, to be accepted by societal standards that are sinful in nature. Ultimate trick of the enemy. That's how much the enemy hates you. The enemy stops at nothing to try to get one to destroy theirself, because sin gives them all the access they need to come into the equation and do things that they have no business doing. That's why so many people are out here operating in ways that just truly make no sense, but flying under the radar. Everything has been normalized and sanitized, and it's not right. We got to stop living in sin. We got to get back to serving the Most High, bold as we can, like they did in the days of old. See, in the days of Noah, they was sitting around, partying, living it up, doing what they do, with no regard for living for God at all, with no regard for the warnings that they received, multiple warnings regarding the coming flood. More people could have been saved through it, but they didn't want to listen. They want to mock. They want to try to be funny. They want to try to make someone sound like they're engaged in madness, being crazy. And that's always the diagnosis. One way or another, that is always the diagnosis en route to trying to keep the truth covered. It's always the psychological card being played. And it's always being played over and over and over again. Because they don't like the truth. They want to keep the truth contained at all costs. But guess what? The joke is not on the one who's telling the truth, especially when it comes to the kingdom of the Most High. Oh no. The joke is on those who sit and mocked, because the Most High is not to be mocked at all. Not even in what they call playing or any of that. It is so insane to me. You know, because then, you know, all they had to do was turn away from their wickedness, hedge themselves under the Most High's protection. They would have been on that ark and they would have made it to this side of the flood. But nah, they had to sit and be funny and spit out belligerent rhetoric, kind of like they do today when people come along and tell the truth because they can see things that others can't see or refuse to see. Because the acknowledgement thereof, they have to turn away from what they're doing, or knowingly, ignorantly continuing to engage in actions that they know are completely and utterly wrong. That's the facts. That is the facts. So, you know, so when you're receiving information that you know good and well you're not going to get on any mainstream media outlets, because they're all being ran and controlled by your three-letter agencies, you know, your alphabet agencies. That's why you get almost identical news stories in every single city. Every time you turn the news on, everybody's got a similar situation going on, however it goes down. So, you know, we are in that NWO era. It's here. And it's only going to get worse. So don't be one of those ones that want to neglect the information. Look at all the people who laugh and try to be funny, didn't want to listen to, you know, information about getting that jab action. And then just for the very people who put these lies out here had to come forward and be honest about the things they were lying about. So keep in mind, the joke is never on those extenuating the information. The joke will always and forever be on those who want to sit and mock. You know, for whatever the reasoning is to be engaged in such actions. You know, we got to be ready and willing to learn out here. Lacking knowledge and lacking faith, living in sin unrepentatively is why things are messed up on the level in which they are. This is why the true evil people, they get to just lurk, roam, and do unnatural evil actions as they wish on land that wasn't even given to them. You know, this thing is deep. This ain't nothing to just be sitting here taking lightly. You know, there's nothing to be scared of, nothing to fear, because you got the Most High in you, and He is the one who created everything. And not only can He take your life, He can take your spirit life also. Get rid of it, place it wherever He deems fit. So who should you really be afraid of? That's the question. So we gotta stay in the faith. Can't be sitting up here, you know, engaged in the same actions of those who were during the times of Noah. Can't be operating like that. They done already showed you where it will get you. It will get you destroyed. So listen to the Holy Spirit. Cover yourself in the blood of Christ. Love the Most High God for who He truly is and what He does. You'll be all right. You'll always be all right no matter what. That said, y'all have a blessed day. Don't get locked out the ark now. Do not get locked out the ark. Make sure you got a spot reserved on there. Blessings.